right, we'll call this June 13, 2019 meeting of Bethel Village Council order. We'll ask everybody to please rise for the invocation and pledge. Heavenly Father, we are thankful for this day. We're thankful for this opportunity to come together. We are thankful for those who are here. We just pray, Father, that you bring wisdom upon these council members as we conduct the business of the village, and we pray that you would bless the residents of our community. We love and praise you in your name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, council, thanks for being here. Mr. Gilpin, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Ross?
Here.
Mr. Noble is absent. Ms. Brown?
Here.
Mr. Coogan?
Here.
Ms. Shepherd?
Here.
Ms. Hallfield?
Here.
Mayor Osmer?
Here. Thank you. Second item on our agenda is approval of the minutes from our May 9th meeting. Has everybody seen those? Corrections, amendments, thoughts? If not, I entertain a motion to accept them as read.
I move we accept the May 9th, 2019 council minutes as written.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Coogan. Call the roll, please, Mr. Gilpin.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Coogan?
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Hallfield?
Yes.
All right, thanks. Any communications tonight, Mr. Dodson?
There are none.
Fourth item on our agenda is public input. Is there any public input this evening? If so, you can step forward and address council. All right, having heard none, we'll be moving on to our fifth item on our agenda, which is our administration and committee reports. I am up first, and first thing I need to do is tell you that our mayor's court report for the month of May with a total revenue of $9,196.45, with $7,013.45 going to the village, $2,089 to the state, and $94 to the county. Also, it is my honor and privilege tonight to swear in a new part-time officer for us this evening, so if Mr. Ginn would join me up front. Raise your right hand, please. I state your name.
I, Joshua Ginn,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will uphold the Constitution
that I will uphold the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution
the Constitution,
and laws of the state of Ohio,
the laws of the state of Ohio,
the ordinances and resolutions
ordinance and resolutions
of the Village of Bethel,
of the Village of Bethel,
and faithfully perform the duties
and faithfully perform the duties
of the office of part-time
of the office of part-time
police officer
police officer
of the Village of Bethel,
of the Village of Bethel,
Claremont County, Ohio,
Claremont County, Ohio,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
without malice or prejudice,
without malice and prejudice,
but with courtesy and respect for all,
but with courtesy and respect for all,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations. I guess I have to say, there's yours, Mayor. Thank you, sir.
So afraid he was going to say, I see your name.
All about it. Nobody's done that yet. There we go. Mr. Ginn comes to us by way of being a police officer with Felicity for many years, and then he's also he has served, he's an EMT, and he's served with Bethel and with Franklin Township.
Sure.
And so he knows the main streets of Bethel a little bit, so that's going to help with his FTO, we believe. And
Some of the residents as well.
yeah, does anybody have any questions of Officer Ginn?
No, welcome.
Thank you.
So he's going to be serving as a part-time officer for us. It's great to have you on, Josh. Do you have any thoughts, concerns for us?
I'm honored and it's a privilege to serve for you guys.
Well, I
Thank
look
you.
forward to having
Thank
you.
you for that.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I've got. Next up is our village administrator, Mr. Dodson.
Thank you. I filed the EIA 861 Annual Electric Power Energy Report, which is required to be filed with the U.S. Energy Information Administration each year. This is the last year we'll have to do the short form. We'll have to go back to doing the long form starting next year, which is just a lot more data that we have to accumulate. The exercise stations that are going to be going next to the walk path are in. The installers hopefully will be getting that started soon. They're all backed up with all the wet weather, so hopefully we'll see those exercise stations soon. We had previously thought that we were not going to be funded for the OPWC project, which was the Northeast Street stormwater repair. We did find out a couple of weeks ago that we did get the funding for that, so that is a total project $326,000. Grant portion of that is $176,000. Then we'll get $81,500 in zero interest loans. And then our local match is $68,400. So that is a good project that we need. We have stormwater issues all around town, but that is some of the most frequent issues around the northeast section there. And we've had some issues where we've had to temporarily reroute traffic at northeast and Osborne and heavy flooding. So that should alleviate all that. So that brings my total grants so far up to $1.85 million, $1,858,000, which is an average of $169,000 per year for the 11 years that I've been here. I am now on the District 10 Public Works Integrating Committee and also the Executive Committee, so I will be involved moving forward with the OPWC grant scoring for our district, which includes Claremont, Butler, Warren, and Clinton counties. So at least I will have a voice at the table when our projects and others are scored. The ODOT street project, the bidding came in, it was 9.5% higher. The low bid was 9.5% higher than expected, so we did have to increase our match by about $3,000. So it was $57,000, I think, and so it's gone up $3,000, which isn't terrible. And there may be some work, some change orders during that process, but this is a pretty straightforward project, so I wouldn't expect a lot there. Let's see, the property owner has scheduled demolition for a Blythe house on South Main, 423 South Main, so we should see that in the next couple of weeks. That was supposed to have the dumpster, I believe, delivered this week yet, so.
It's for real this time.
Well, we've been told this a couple times, but yeah, it sounds like it's going to happen.
Okay.
So, hopefully that'll be done within the month. In the past, we used to have a leaf vac that we would collect leaves in the fall, and that died, and for years we've tried to get people to stop moving their leaves into the culverts and or into the ditch line, and that's caused clogging in our culverts. And so we have just purchased a used leaf vac system. We got that from the city of Bowling Green, Kentucky, so we'll be going down there. It's a 2000 model. It's a big unit, and we got it for $3,300. So these are expensive machines. We looked at, they're like $80,000 machines. So this is a little bigger than probably we would have gotten, but for the price you can't pass it up. So we'll be going down there tomorrow to get that and bring it back. Let's see. At the same time, we do have a couple of vehicles on sale and gov deals. We have a pickup truck that is a surplus unit that's on there, and then the beloved Explorer of our former police chief is on there. So you might be able to get an autograph on that if you purchase it. I believe the Historical Museum is bidding on that. They put it next to the Conestoga line. And finally, the Union Street Bridge project, which has been dragging on for a couple of years. I've been told that has gone out to bid for engineering services by the county. So hopefully that's true. I think that's still slated for a 2020 project.
Is that north or south?
That is South Union Street.
Thank you.
And that's all I have.
All right. Are you bidding on that, Chief? Or, sorry? You're not bidding on it?
A prior council member stopped by my house and wanted to know if I would donate my lawnmower, my tractor to the historical society.
Funny stuff. All right, thanks, Mr. Dodson. Next up is our fiscal officer, Mr. Gilpin.
Just two quick comments. Still working on the 2020 tax budget that we'll review in detail at the next Finance Committee meeting. I'm happy to report that the state auditor that has been in the building off and on for the last 3 months told me today was their last day here. So they've got a little bit of work to finish up remotely, so they may have to stop by to tie up a loose end if they discover anything, but he packed up, took everything with him today. So hopefully we'll see our results in the next couple weeks, but the in-house work is finally completed. That's all I've got.
Our tax hearing is next.
It's just prior to the next council meeting.
Okay.
That's Tuesday, no, that's not July the 2nd.
No.
Okay, never mind.
Tax hearing will be before our council meeting.
Council meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Gilpin. Next up is our solicitor, Ms. Suppinger.
We've been working on acquiring the easements for the electric relocation project. At the next, we've had a couple that we've had to make some edits or changes to, which have had to go through the engineer's office to make those changes, so it's been a little slow going. At the next meeting, I should be able to give you a status report as to the percentage of easements that have been acquired and the ones left to go. But that's about it.
Okay, thanks. Chief Teague.
For the month of May, just some stats, we drove 29,649 miles, made 74 traffic stops. We had 4 OVIs, 19 speeds, 3 driving under suspensions, 39 warnings. We answered 231 calls, we took 37 offense reports and 13 incident reports. We took 11 motor vehicle accidents, one of those being serious, requiring EMS to transport to the hospital. We also assisted in 57 EMS runs during the month, is our stats. We met with finance and safety and personnel. Thank you for Officer Ginn, the allowing of adding him to take some of the part-time off of Sergeant Plank's now part-time, full-time status. We completed a 1033 audit from the state during the month of May, which was the state of Ohio coming in and auditing our surplus military equipment. I went to and completed the new Chiefs training May 6th through the 10th. I also have lead certification training coming up where I'll have to go to Columbus for 1 day within the next 6 months to take over the lead's point of contact for our agency. Officer Colopy and Houchin are leaving next week and going to A-RIDE, which is Advanced Roadside Impairment Driving Enforcement. That is to help with narcotics along with DUI stops. These are impairment stops to better train the officers to do that. Also on a side note, Officer Colopy left already. He was here a couple minutes ago. He is expecting his 3rd child on Saturday. So congratulations to him. We talked about the annual football tournament coming up in less than 60 days on August the 3rd and 4th. I've reached out to Adam Armacost, who's the president. I've not heard back from him yet. That is not a surprise. We purchased a 1999 John Deere Turf Gator for $500. It'll take approximately $1,000 in repairs and upkeep to get it up and running. We plan on using that for the football tournament and Burkfest 19. We met with Parks and Village Property, referenced the Burkfest 19, and 2 officers are going to be required for that event. That is our first alcohol event with, I believe, 5 bands in the park coming up. I'm sure later on we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. Routine vehicle maintenance on some cars, getting some tires put on. We reviewed some property management software to automate some of our property room. And we discussed the golf cart ordinance that we will talk about later on, I'm sure, and we made a couple of recommendations on tweaks on that. That's all I have for the month of May.
All right, thanks, Chief. Next up is our Safety Committee Chair, Ms. Holly.
Kind of everything that Chief said. We talked about the golf cart ordinance and got that up and going, discussed the safety features for Burkfest, which I'm sure Brian will speak to more. We talked about our new part-time officer, and that was pretty much it. Our next meeting is July 9th at 5:30 in council.
Okay, thanks. I just wanted to say that the recommendations for the golf carts was made, and I thought we were going to be voting on it tonight, but it's not on here, so we'll have to have that table probably till next meeting, I guess. Thank you, Ms. Holyfield. Next up is Our Finance Committee Chair, Ms. Shepherd.
We met on June the 4th in council chambers, and Mr. Dodson, as usual, went into quite a good detail about where we're at, where we need to be during the year. He did say that the revenue from the municipal income tax, we've received about 65% of what he's budgeted that we might receive. And I do want to remind the Village of Bethel people that goes direct into the police fund. It does not go through our general fund, so that's what it's used for. He also made a comment that we'll probably lose approximately 1/3 of what's left of our local government fund this year. He did speak about the auditors a while ago, and Mr. Mayor made a comment of why we are charged so much for that and why we have to pay for it. The village does have to pay for that, and those audits can be quite considerable. The cost has gone down in the past few years due to our books being in better order. If they can find receipts and expenditures that they need, then it goes a little smoother. And we thank Mr. Gilpin for making that happen for us, because it does save us some cash. And also about the gator that Chief Teague spoke of. Finance didn't have to approve or disapprove that. It was just an FYI for finance. If they stay within their budget and that's how they choose to spend their money and within their budget, then that doesn't have to be approved by finance. And we also voted unanimously for a recommendation to bring the administrator's contract to full council for approval this evening, so we will be discussing that a little bit later on. And Mr. Dodson did mention that the electric supplier for the village is going to work up some dollars and some numbers to see if a solar plant at the waterworks might be feasible within the future. It would save us, if you can remind me again, the dollars, transmission or generation?
It would benefit us on transmission and the capacity.
Capacity,
Yeah,
okay.
it offsets the peak in the summer months and helps save on the capacity fees.
Okay, but that's something will be way in the future. Our next meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, July the 2nd at 5:30 in council chambers.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Shepherd. Only one correction in that the legislation for Mr. Dodson's contract is just a first reading.
Okay.
Thank you. Parks and Village Property Chair, Mr. Coogan.
We met on the 11th of June, right behind the Safety Committee, and we discussed the Burke Fest, which is a concert that we're going to perform in the park. I had managed to secure 5 bands through a local source here, Jennifer Dougherty, and she got these bands for us for free. And additionally, this evening, I was contacted by a local band requesting to come aboard. And I, knowing how bands are, they get kind of fussy when there's a little bit of an interference there. I contacted Jennifer, she contacted the bands, and we've managed to fit this group in.
Nice.
So it's a local group, which was one of the complaints on Bethel Banding today. So I just suppressed that complaint. Anyways, we discussed this option. We discussed police coverage. We have 2 officers, as the chief said, and I'm going to request 1 additional hour on that extra officer. Okay?
Earlier or later?
Pardon?
For later, okay.
For later, up to 7 that evening.
Okay.
So it's 7 o'clock now.
Yeah. And we requested 100 banners, flyers, and a banner in order to make this function presentable. The group that I had added this evening, they're locally affiliated with businesses, so they're going to be doing advertising within the businesses, and they've got a pretty decent following, so they'll help in the advertising. And they're very active with the Business Association. They'll help there too. Anyways, we discussed a trailer unit that consists of a nine-person bathroom type facility, and we're renting that for the cost of $1,600 for this function, and we had discussed this same option a little bit later as another part of the meeting as a permanent type of fixture for the park, which we'll continuously work on over the next year. That the one we agreed on is essentially called the Cortez, and it runs at about $61,000. And it's a concrete building that they actually install into the park. It makes it easy. And the group that is coming in is called Chaos Ritual, and they're featured on a Texas radio station right now called The Edge, if anybody wants to listen to them. We decided our next meeting will be on the 9th of July at 6:30, right behind safety again, so.
All right, thanks, Mr. Let Mrs. Ross read this. Next up is our Burke Trust Committee Chair, Ms. Ross.
Trust.
Oh,
Yeah. Oh, okay, yes. So we met, well, I guess we've met twice since the last time we met. I think it was May, was it 23rd? Does that sound correct, everybody? I
think it was.
It was May 23rd. For the scholarship applications, we were here quite a long time. We had some very good applicants and very good applications. Also some very good questions that were asked by our fellow council members. So we picked the top three, and the three that received the scholarship at this year's graduation was Natalie Powers, Olivia Havren, and Haley Shripton. And they were all the applicants were very worthy, but those are the ones that we chose, so congratulations to them. And then we met last on June 4th at 7 p.m. to discuss the community grant. We only had 2 applications this year, which I'm hoping next year we can advertise to different sources, maybe a little bit better. We kind of discussed that at the meeting on better ways to communicate the community grant. But the 2 applications were good. However, we did choose one project to recommend to council, and that project was submitted by the Lions Club for an 80-foot extension of the walkway, of the walking path, to go from behind the intermediate school to connect the walking path to Save-A-Lot. So we have a lot of residents that walk around the path. I know I use that area a lot from where I live, and there's a lot of residents that walk along the walking path from Buffalo Woods and other areas, so I think that'll be beneficial to the community. So 3 of us decided that that was the one that we would like to recommend to council. So at this time, I'm looking for a recommendation from council for us to approve the community grant to the Lions Club for that walkway extension project.
She needs a motion.
A motion,
Make a motion that,
$2,500.
$2,500.
make a motion, we approve the $2,500 community grant for the Lions Club.
So you got a motion, do I hear a second?
I second that.
Mr. Coogan, second. Is there any questions or discussion about it?
Will that cover the entire cost of that, or are they going to have to add to that?
So, no, that, they submitted an estimate, and the estimate was exactly $2,500. We assumed that the company that gave them the estimate probably gave them the exact estimate of $2,500 to do it within the parameters of the grant.
Okay.
Because it was everything they needed to do. I can't remember exactly the specifics of it, but it was 3 or 4 foot wide, included the base, and they had received permission from Mr. Monifo as well to connect it from the back of the property to there. So it was for exactly the $2,500.
Is this more or less just like a little shortcut?
It is a
If someone
shortcut,
wants to buy,
yes.
would be anyone in
There's
that area.
a dirt path there now that a lot of residents use, that they have to then walk through the mud.
But it's hard for people that have like
That's
wheelchairs.
correct, there's a little rise to it, a little fall, so
Okay.
they'll probably be
I see
leveling
some
it out.
residents carry those carts. They'll walk with the carts, they put their groceries in. and bring
I mean,
them.
residents from Bethel Woods will be using it quite a bit.
And that's who I see from the way I go to where I live.
It'll be a nice addition. I appreciate that the Lions Club
Yes,
came up with that
I,
idea.
yes, I thought it was, we
And-
thought it was.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Gilpin, call the roll, please.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Coogan?
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Hallfield?
Yes.
Anything else, Ms. Ross?
No, I believe that's it.
Just to point out that 2,500 is not village funds, that comes from Burke
Burke
Trust.
Trust. True. Next up is our Personnel Committee Chair, Ms. Brown.
Personnel met on June 4th at 6 PM following finance. We resumed talks as far as Travis's contract went. Few things that we learned over the talking process of it was Travis did not ask for a raise. Travis asked for a 3-year contract with no money. The raise came about through discussion amongst ourselves and the fact that he had not had a pay raise in multiple years. So we began discussions, and at this point, there is a 5-year contract with a 2.9, is that correct? One-time raise, so for 5 years, that's all the money that he can ever get. The contract does not stop him from being fired if he does not do his job. The contract also allows it to be where he is not put into the mix every year with the rest of the employees. So there's no reason to hinder somebody getting a raise because people might be afraid to vote on Travis. It was about, I think, $10,000 in savings this way for the village. Travis does utilities, zoning, HR, IT, and is on call 24/7 for the village. And he's gotten how much in grants for the village?
1.8 million.
1.8 million. And basically, he only collects the severance if he would be let go without just cause. So we decided that it was okay to go ahead and proceed to allow the full council to talk with that. So did finance. Finance basically looked and said, we do have the money for this if we decide to go this way. And tonight, what we'll do is we'll read it one time. We have 3 readings, and then after the 3rd reading of motions on the floor, we have discussion just like we did with this. It doesn't mean that it's a lock for him or not a lock for him. It just means this is part of the process for this. And that's all that we really discussed, and we didn't have set another meeting because we didn't really see the need just yet.
Okay, thanks, Ms. Brown. And for our Communication Commission, Mr. Noble is absent, but I do know that next Thursday we are having a Communication Commission meeting, so that'll be here at what time?
6:30.
6:30 here next Thursday, the 20th. So Communication Commission meeting next Thursday. And that brings us to call of members, and we're starting with you, Ms. Ross.
So just briefly, I had a conversation with Judy Adams today on a different note, and she asked if I would remind the council about the email that Travis had forwarded us to write the letter of support for the grant that they're trying to get. I believe she said it was some cosmetics, those new windows and things like that. All the information is in an email that Travis had forwarded us, I think like a week or so ago. So she had put the date of June 15th. They're really not due by June 15th, so if we could look into that, preparing a letter and getting it to her, she would greatly appreciate it.
And it's just a couple of sentences, it's just, well, the more she gets, the better.
This is for grants.
Yes.
Grants for
That's what she said.
the Bethel Historical Society, so take time to do it.
So content's not important, just the more letters, the
Well,
better.
sure, you should.
Well, you need to say that we like it.
Spell-
We're
spell check,
grateful to
all
have that.
Anything else, Ms.
Yeah,
Brown?
that is it, thank you.
All right, Ms. Brown?
I just wanted to say that if anybody has any questions with regards to Travis's contract that they would like to address to me, I am always willing to answer those questions, and I think everybody up here is willing to answer any questions you have at any time. One thing I would like to see if Bill could put something together for Travis to put on our Facebook page about the RETA tax, because I seen that there was some confusion on banding together with regards to that. And maybe if we could advertise the great job that our police do sometimes on there as well. That's all, and also pray for Lori Connolly, please, if you believe in prayer, or give her well wishes, because she does do a lot for the kids in our community and multiple communities. And that's all.
All right. Mr. Coogan?
Yeah, the only thing I really want to say is that I've been working very hard on this Bergfest that we've dubbed 8/17 2019, and this is going to start at noon, and we're going to run till 7 now. Previously it was 6 o'clock. Got a good bunch of bands coming, and the local American Legion, who's a non-profit organization, is going to be doing all the beverage and all the food, and I'm encouraging everybody in the community to come out and support them and help build up their coffers for their charities. And that's all I have.
Thanks for your work on it, Mr. Coogan. Greatly appreciate it. Ms. Shepherd?
The only thing I want to say is I want to thank Mr. Coogan for all the work that he's done on our first Berkfest, and I hope it's not the only one that we have. I hope it continues and goes forward. I also want to thank our local Legion for supporting us in that endeavor, because I think it's important to have things in our beautiful park.
Yep.
That's all I wanted to say.
All right, thanks. Ms. Holyfield?
Kind of what everybody else is saying. First, welcome to Officer again, and thank you for picking up that part-time position. Contact council if you have any questions. Do not believe Facebook. Come to the source. We will give you the truth. Do your homework. Find out your answers. Don't listen to others. And thank you, Brian, for all the work. I know you've worked very hard on that, supporting the Bergfest. Agree with Lucy. Hopefully it's an annual thing, and supporting our Legion as well. And I think that's all I have.
All right, thanks. That brings us to our legislation, and what we have is Resolution 1034, which is a resolution authorizing a contract with Travis Dotson as village administrator for the village of Bethel, Ohio, and that stands as a first reading. And that brings us to number 9 on our agenda, approval of expenses. Have you all seen those? Do you agree with those? Well, I would entertain a motion we accept those as read.
I move we accept the expenses as written.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
A second.
Thank you. Mr. Gilpin, call the roll, please.
Ms. Ross? Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Coogan?
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Holyfield?
Yes.
Now I would entertain a motion that we pay our bills.
I move that we pay our bills.
Thank you, Ms. Holyfield. Do I hear a second?
I second that.
Thank you, Mr. Coogan. Call the roll, please, Mr. Gilpin.
Okay. Was Ms. Holyfield and
Mr. Coogan, yes.
Ms. Ross?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Coogan?
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Ms. Holyfield?
Yes.
All right, and this is a new record for this council. This brings us to adjournment. I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I heard a double motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Adjourn. Thank you.